Alright, so this video is going to be about savings accounts primarily, and some different things we can do with savings. The generic term savings account. Now, this is generic. You could also have you could theoretically have a checking account that paid you interest, in which case some of the same things would apply here. But the idea is we have, with compounding interest, everything we're going to do is going to be compounded monthly, because that's what a bank does for all of us who are just normal peons. If you're a very big business, you might get some quarterly stuff, but almost rare. It's very rare for normal people to see that. So we're going to have, of course, a beginning balance. And as usual, I think I mentioned the other day in our first video that there's always going to be 5 players. That is present value. That's, in this case, is our beginning balance. And future value is your ending balance, of course, and payment, which you may or may not do at any given time. You may put money in or you may not put any money in every month. It's hard to say. Rate, of course, your interest rate, that's a big deal. And then, of course, time, which will be written as the number of periods, but really it's just time. Okay? So, of course, we're going to have to tell you how much money we put in. Now, typically in savings, we talk about that a lot. We talk about it as the principal. It could just be the beginning balance, whatever. Initial deposit. You could say a lot of different things. Okay? And when we get these set up, we're going to do it all in Excel for this deal. So again, most of the time we're going to know this our everyday life. We're going to start an account. Well, how much you can put in? Oh, I got 500. Well, okay, then that's what I'm going to put in. I mean, it's not like, sometimes it's nice to have a goal, but if you think you're going to retire in 5 years and you're going to need $1 million, how much you need to put in today at 2% interest? 900 and some $1,000. Well, I don't have that. Well, duh. So very rarely will we ever solve for the present value. Now, that's not to say we won't, because once in a while we will. But a lot of times we just won't do that. Future value we will solve for, because if you start off with 500, at a certain rate, which of course the bank decides on the rate, it would be nice to be able to say, look, I need 22% interest. Give it to me. Well, it doesn't work that way. So the bank will determine that, and maybe you're going to put money in every month, or maybe you're not. And, oh, yeah, well, if you're just now getting around to savings and you need to have some money in 5 years, you might be out of luck, okay? But a lot of things in our lives, this is told to us, given to us based on things that we've done, actions, what have you. This, the bank determines. The payment, I determine to some degree because, well, I don't have any money to put away. So, okay, I guess I won't put much away. And so future value is really the only thing we can solve for most of the time. That's not to say we can't solve for some of the others, but most of the time, no. And never rate. We will never solve for rate when it comes to a savings account. Now, let's do an example here. So suppose you have a beginning balance of, well, let's just say $500, sure. And you get 2.1% interest from your bank, which is fabulous. If you get that, man, run with it. That's awesome. And monthly, of course. And you're going to leave it in there for 5 years. You're just going to let it sit. How much will you have? I don't know. Let's go find out. So pop up the old Excel. Boom, 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 boom. Now, me personally, put that initial right there. And while I'm at it, I'm just going to make this whole column be accounting format right there. Boom. And then over here somewhere, and it's not really important where, I'm going to put, although I usually like to use B and C for other things in other sections. Again, we get to loans, but you can put it wherever you want right now. Let's put in our interest rate, 0.021, and let's name that cell. Let's name it interest. Hit enter. So equals this fella times, oops, as we talked about last week or earlier this week with the video with the compounding, it's 1 plus interest divided by 12. That's for 1 month. You made 88 cents the first month. Good for you. Okay, so the question then is, well, I need this for 5 years, so it's going to take 60 months. 60 in addition to the first one, which doesn't count, so 61 where we're going to stop. So after 5 years, we'll have $555.30 in the account. Now, That's how I would do it for that one. Now, you're more than welcome to use the formula future value. Now, you see how I started typing in like that? That's how you will have to do it in Google Sheets if you're a Google Sheet person. You're the, I'm going to stick it to the man. I'm not going to use Microsoft. I'll teach Bill Gates. I'm going to use Google instead. The other giant monstrosity of a country, but you're a company, but it would knock yourself out. Excel does have the drop-down menu if you approach it from this standpoint. So interest divided by 12. Number of periods is 60 months. Remember, it's the number of months because it's monthly interest. We weren't making any payments. Now notice that future value and present value and type are grayed out. It means they're not necessary. Okay? I'm sorry. Neither one of them are necessary. However, if you don't put any money in to start with, you're not going to have any money. So in this case, we need to put in a present value. So negative A1. Now, if you don't do the negative, you'll get a negative answer. So all it does is make the answer positive. So as I'm doing these, I always like to do them kind of two ways, kind of check myself. Not always. There are times when I'll do them I'll just use the future value because it's not that hard to do. But it's kind of nice sometimes to just be able to kind of come at it from a different point of view. Now, let's try another. Let's say we're going to put in $10 a month. I don't know. And then over here, what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to make that into a dollar sign. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on that. I'm going to put in deposit. Now I could call it payment. And by the way, when we get to loans, I'll call it payment. I'm going to click on this guy and I'm just going to go plus. I'm going to click that plus deposit. Now, what you'll notice is it only changed that one, not this one down here. Now, if you've used Excel at all, you know the reason is because you only changed one cell. So click right here. And you can either double click right here or you can click and drag. I just like to double click. Boom. If you double click, you will see the answer is, oh my gosh, hashtag Kim Kardashian. No, that just means your number's too big. So click right here and drag it over. So if I were putting in $10 a month for 60 months, which by the way, $10 a month for 60 months is $600, yes? So that means I put in $500 initially. I've added $600 through payments. That's $1,100. Everything else is interest. So I made $87.35 worth of interest. And again, I know that because I made 60 payments plus the initial value. That's how much of that is my money that I put in. Everything else above and beyond that, well, that's interest. And again, I could have used future value here. So the rate is this guy. Don't forget to divide by 12, comma, 60 months, comma, payment is $10, or you can just click on that guy right there, comma, present value, negative A1. Oopsie daisy. Gonna make the deposit negative too. But boom! Now, if you left them both positive, you get negative 1187, which I find to be just, it's weird. I don't really want a negative value. That's not what it is. The reason for that is some kind of a mathematical deal, the way they programmed Excel. It's just kind of, it's one of those things that idiosyncrasy, just like dealing with people sometimes. But why is that? Well, I don't know. Just the way it is. Place that I like to go on the website, on the web, to find some information is NerdWallet. It's probably my favorite financial site that I go to find interest rates. I just like the way it is. But you can click on it, banking right here, and then click on best savings accounts. And for the life of me, I can't find savings accounts. There it is. I need my glasses. There we go. And then type in your zip code. I only have $1,000, Jay. Well, if you only have $1,000, friend, then Salem 5 Direct is the best that you can do. Boom. 1.1% interest, by the way. Kind of lame. Also, notice that is the APY. Now, we talked about that last week, but it is the APY. Now, again, don't sweat too hard about that. I mean, could we work backwards and find the APR? Yes, we totally could. So, as a matter of fact, if you click on the bank, it'll take you there, and you can learn more about, what is the actual APR of that account. The APY just is 1.1%. Interestingly enough, APR and APY at this level are for all intents and purposes the same. So it's just kind of a neat place to go to look this stuff up. You could also go to your regular bank, On Point or something. Sometimes credit union ones are less than helpful. My son works at the local credit union here in St. Helens area, and I was looking on there because I was, let's see, it'd be cool. I'm going to use this in class one day, and I was clicking around. I'm like, dude, where are your rates at? And he's like, oh, they're like clear down somewhere ridiculous spot where no one would ever think to look for them. I'm like, oh, that's less than helpful. Thank you. So here are the rates down here. Notice that the interest rate is 0.05% and the APY is also 0.05%. It doesn't make any difference on these things. That's just diddly squat when it's this low. Okay? And yeah, so just something I want you guys to be comfortable with is, hey, I'm going to go to my local bank. My local bank is paying 0.15%. So that's 0.0015. Okay? Remember, you can't name this interest again, so name it interest. Or you could spell it wrong like I did, or you could spell it interest too. No spaces. You can use underscores, but no spaces. And then let's just say you're going to put in $100 a month. I don't know. Good for you. Good for you. Boom. Boom. And what are you going to start with? $20. Feels weird, but sure, go ahead. And boom. So then maybe I want to know something like this. When will I have $5,000 saved up? When will I have $5,000? When will I have $5,000? That's what I want to know. Okay, that feels like a future value to me, or I feel like that 5,000 is a future value. What I don't know is time. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to take and do the same exact formula again because I feel like this is the easiest way to solve these problems. Then I think I kind of schmucked it up because I didn't call this deposit something because this is problem 2. I'm going to call it deposit 2. And then right here, I'm just going to get rid of that and click on that. Now it says deposit 2 like it should. And by the way, it doesn't look like I got any interest because basically I didn't get any interest. Okay? So I'm just going to keep dragging. Holy cow, Kim Kardashian. There it is. Now, I'm looking for $5,000. Hey, that happens right around there. Right around row 51. Between 50 and 51. But, by the way, this is month 50. This one up here was month 49. So, roughly 4 years in, I will have $5,000. Oh, by the way, how much of that was interest? I don't know. But let's just say it was month 50. It'd be 50 times deposit 2, right? Plus my initial $20. 50/20 of that. 50/20 of this was my money. The rest of it must have been interest. So obviously $15.47. Excuse me. Now, similar concept is the idea of a CD. If you've never been around a CD, I don't blame you much, being as I'm an old fart. Remember back in the days when you actually could get a savings account that paid any interest, and CDs were the thing. CD is it's called a certificate of deposit, and someday it'll probably come back into vogue when interest rates start coming back. But the idea is you promised the bank, it's an agreement that you will leave your money in the bank for an extended period of time. And that's agreed upon. For an agreed amount of time. Now, because they can have your money for an agreed amount of time, you will get, in theory, a better interest rate. Now, back in the day, it used to be a big deal. Before the interwebs, I remember my grandpa used to have, that's what he never invested in the stock market or anything like that. It was always about putting money in a CD. And he made some boku bucks. I mean, you think about that. Back then, you get an interest rate on your savings account was 7 or 6 or 7 or 8%. And the CDs are paying like 10%. Well, why wouldn't I want to do that? Sure. But we lived over by Walla Walla. He would literally call all over the state of Washington and say, what kind of CD do you have? Now, there was no interwebs back then. So you had to call information or whatever, get all the list of all the bank's phone numbers, I guess, call all around and find it out. Anyway, this one day he says to me, you want to go with me? I said, where are we going? He says, well, we're going to Yakima. Well, that's like 2.5 hours from our house. I'm like, why? He's like, I got a CD coming due today, and I'm going to take it across town to a different bank. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm going to go over there, pick it up, drive it across town, put it in another bank. And I'm like, are you crazy? Yeah, but he was making some big bucks. I don't know how much he had in there, but the dude was pretty frugal. So I'm sure he had some a good-sized amount of change he'd stuffed away in that thing over the years. I don't know what the actual amount was, but I'm sure it was worth a lot. And with those interest rates, it made sense to drive over there. Of course, gas was cheaper back then too, but whatever. But nowadays, you don't see a whole whale of a lot of difference. In fact, we were just on that On Point website. One can actually see that. And so here's a certificate deposit. We can see the full rate details, for instance, on this one. But if you agree to leave it in there for 2 years, we'll give you 0.5%. Well, now that's better. That's better than 0.15, but it's not great. Okay? And here's the problem. Here's a penalty for taking it out. So you can't be taking money in or out of these accounts. You have to leave them in there. If you take money out, what ends up happening is you get dinged for it. Okay? So there's no money in or out. In or out without penalties. Okay? You can take money out, but it costs you to do that. Okay? So in reality, it's not very hard. There's really no difference from a CD in terms of mathematics-wise. There's no difference from a CD than there is from a savings account, with the exception of I'm not putting any money in. Okay, so let's just say I start off 600 this time. And again, you can put in whatever. Let's just say we're going to do the 0.005. Okay, 0.5%. All right, and let's say this was a 1-year CD. Well, oops, come back. It was a 1-year CD, right there 13. Voila. So you made a whopping $3 on your CD. Awesome, cool. That's awesome, man. $3 and a penny. That's great. But anyway, that's it. Not very difficult to do there at all. CDs are pretty straightforward. And the last thing I want to talk about, and of course, if this was in class, we'd be doing probably some more examples of them. People would be asking more and more and more questions. Obviously, when we're doing them online, we can kind of move through them quicker because I'm not being asked a bunch of questions. If you have specific questions, please, for crying out loud, send me an email. It just takes me a second to sit down, make a short video, slap it up, boom, send it back to you, and then you'll be like, oh, I totally get it now. Okay? That is the way to make these things happen. Okay? The last one I want to talk about was the idea of an annuity. You may have heard of them. Right now, it's kind of in vogue to bash on annuities because some people that are selling annuities are kind of dinging some, or like they're trying to. Old people are getting taken in by it, and I mean they're basically. It's a thing that they sell to old people primarily because they're the people that have actually any money laying around to actually invest. Okay. That said, it's not that big a deal in terms of that. It's just be aware that once you put the money in, you can only take it out so much at a time. So the idea with an annuity is you have a pot of money. It's, I don't know, stuffed in the mattress. It's in a cookie jar. I don't know where you got it. Buried in the backyard in mason jars. I don't know. But you take and you send it to someone. You agree to it. You agree to invest it. All right. And it's usually an insurance company that runs the deal. Now you're like, oh my God, not an insurance company. Yes, an insurance company. Oh, they're bad. Well, maybe not that bad, but whatever. Now the idea is that they need piles of money to be able to pay off for people's, surgeries, for people dying, for people's car wrecks, whatever. They need a lot of cash on hand. So what they do is they agree to they're going to pay you interest, obviously. And again, as you're an old person, you need this for retirement. So you withdraw a set amount, and you can make it per year, per month, per whatever. We're going to pretty much stay with per month because the math's a little nicer. But again, you could set it up however you want to. Lotteries are also done this way, where you can take it all in one lump sum, or you can take it in an annuity. Now, in that case, it's the state that's sitting on it, and they're only paying you, but they're paying you interest on the deal. Okay? So what's happening is you have this giant pile of money here. They pay you interest on it, and then you take some money out. Same thing happens every month. And then eventually, if you live long enough, then you'll use up all your money. Here's the thing. If you start taking it out when you retire, it's possible, not likely, but it's possible that you could end up taking more money out than you put in. That is a situation that almost never happens, but if it happens, the people who you invested with, in this case most time an insurance company, hey, they get hosed on the deal. So there you go. One way to hose the insurance company, don't die. But whatever. So just be aware of that. It's not a big, bad deal. But if you think about it, the math is really easy. Because all it amounts to, over here in Excel, all it amounts to is we're going to have an initial amount. What's that initial amount going to be? A lot? Oops. What happened here? Go away. No one asked for your opinion. There. No. There we go. Let's say you have 125,000 saved up, which, by the way, is not a lot for retiring, but good for you. I mean, it's something. Don't get me wrong. It's something, but it's not going to last you a long time. Let's say that this company is going to give you 3%. Now, again, I haven't been paying attention to what number this is, so I can just spell it wrong if I like. Whatever, I don't care. And I'm going to call it withdrawal because it's more of a, oops, but I'm not going to type it, you clown. I'm going to type in like $80. Now, obviously, $80 isn't enough, and I'll explain that in a minute how I know that. But this process that we're going through here is stuff that you will set up with your, retirement guy as you're buying the annuity, things like this. All that's taken care of. But the math of it, it's really straightforward. Okay? So it's simply going, oh, for God's sakes. I had it all set up, and then I took my stupid keyboard off my thing. Equals that times. You're like, Jesus, the same formula. It's always the same formula, basically. Oh, shoot. There we go. There we are. Minus the withdrawal. Oh, no. Something that you might notice, friends. For instance, let me just get that to be a 0 right there. You made $312.50 worth of interest that month. You could take out a down payment. You could take out a payment of $312.50, and nothing would change. You could take that out forever, and your bank account balance would stay the same. In the old days, that was called living on the interest. And if you were getting, let's say, 10% interest, you could, for instance, here, let's put this back here. You could take out $1,041 a month. You see that? And nothing. It wouldn't go down one iota, not one bit. And $1,000 nothing to sneeze at, especially back in the 80s, when everything was a little cheaper to deal with. Okay? But let's say we take out an amount that seems reasonable. Let's say we take out $1,200 a month. Okay? Notice that it did go down. It didn't go down a full $1,200 because obviously I didn't take out enough. Because I take it out $1,200, but there's interest going in. That's what I was meant to say. Ooh, this is no bueno. All right, there's 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. Boom, look at that. My God, look at that. Right there at about, this is about right here, month 120, which is about 10 years, yes? Right around, oops, 121 rather, sorry, my bad. At about month 121, which is just over 10 years, is when I run out of money. That's when it goes from being positive to being a negative amount. Okay? So if I was taking out a total of $1,200 a month, it would last me just a little over 10 years, which isn't too bad. Okay. However, if you retire at age 60, you run out of money at age 70. Yeah, good luck now. Okay. So for retirement planning purposes, you got to know. But think about this. If this is what you're retiring on, because Lord knows most of us aren't going to get any in the way of Social Security, that's not going to go very far. Okay. So in some respects, the guy might say, well, I want to take out $2,000. Okay, cool. But notice you're going to run out a lot sooner this time. So this time you run out at about month 69, 68 actually, I guess. Month 68 roughly, right in here. Which is what, 5.5 years or so, okay? So that's not going to last you very long at all, okay? And that's it. That's all there is to this stuff. Now, a person could use the formula NPER, which is the number of periods. You're more than welcome to. I just find it so much easier just to use this column of data here and just go down like that. So it's this divided by 12. Payment amount, I'm going to do 2,000. Present value, negative that. Future value, notice the future value is grayed out, so just leave it 0. And look at that, it's going to take me about 68 months to pay this thing on, or until I run out. Okay. Interestingly enough, I made that all to where it was very easy to do. Suppose I put this back to 1,200. Boom. Suppose this was 500,000. Oh no, it never ran out. Well, how about that? Look at this. I'm taking out $1,200. It's still going up 50. Okay, you with me? I have to put in more than $1,250 for my payment. So if I put in, let's just put in 2,000. Ta-da! It will last me 393 months. And now for those of you that have a hard time with that, because that one doesn't come to my mind, I'm going to divide by 12. Judas Priest, that's 32 years, 33 years almost. If you retire at age 60, yeah, you're pretty good. You're pretty good. Okay? You retire at age 100, or if you retire at age 80, and this is going to last you 30 more years, well, you're not going to, A, burn through all of your money. Because if you retire at 80, what do you got in there? 5 or 6 maybe 10 years left, maybe. Then obviously a person could, well, I'm gonna blow it all, man. I'm gonna go out big. Ta-da! And so in that situation, if you take out $4,000, you'd last you 12.5 years. Okay, so annuities are pretty cool deals in terms of the math. Again, I am not a financial planning guy. Always do your math, always do your due diligence when you're looking at annuities. But that's all these things really amount to. If you won the $1 million jackpot, and they put that in an annuity for you, and you took out $4,000 a month every month for the rest of your life, it would last you, every $4,000 for the next 32.7 years is what we'd be saying there. Okay, maybe we would tell you until it ran out. Yeah. Anyway, that's the game. Annuities, very straightforward. Savings accounts. If you have any questions, please email. It's pretty weird that we're not having class this week, but life goes on, I guess.